Nobody beats Talking Joe, an international podcast.
Brand new.
Hey, we're talking brand new Joe. Hey, we're on a brand new show. Deep dives, blow by blow. Spotting Uzis and crossbow. Like a buzzbow or a pogo. Got ninjas like Don Shadow. Comics are how I spend my dough. We're coming to you, it's Debris. Oh, it's time for Talking Joe. With Mark and Tim, here we go.
Brand new.
Talking Joe is on the air.
So, welcome to Talking Joe, the G.I. Joe comics podcast. Now, today we are talking to you about the latest issue of G.I. Joe from the Energon Universe. It is issue number 22, released Wednesday, May the 20th, 2026. The official synopsis for this one read: Hunt for Energon. After a stunning conclusion to DREADNOK WAR, the Joes and Cobra are in a race to find Energon across the world. But the man known as Crystal Ball has horrifying plans for them all. Let's find out if this issue delivers. And in the discussion of it, I will not be on my own. As always, I will be joined by my regular co-host. It's a real American Tim. It's Tim Finn.
Hello, Mark, listeners, viewers. You know, that description threw me off a little bit because in my mind, the DREADNOK War feels like a long time ago. And that's because issue 21 came out a month ago. And that was still part of the Hunt for Energon because that was about a sword. But my brain had a little mental hiccup with that description because I thought, wait, wasn't the Energon War a long time ago? What am I forgetting?
Yeah, it was. There was, 3 issues in between? Because there was the Hound issue, the Optimus Prime issue, the silent issue. And
of course, you know, you can mention a story arc from 3 months ago. I do wonder if that description was, you know, written by someone in sales or marketing at Skybound. It probably wasn't written by the writer. Maybe it was written by the editor. And, you know, there's a good reason to mention the DREADNOK War in a description of the new issue, because that reminds people to go buy G.I. Joe Volume 3, DREADNOK War.
It does. And, yeah, it's interesting that to how much kind of the I guess the momentum of this series sort of continues and builds. So this issue that we're about to talk to refers back to the DREADNOK War. The arc as a whole is the Hunt for Energon in capitals, and it's we're very much on a hunt for Energon. We'll talk about that a little bit in a bit. Behind me, look, Tim, you see what I've got?
Is that a beach towel? with the kickly drawing of you and me as Joes amongst 2 pack rats with explosions behind us? That's a beach towel, right? Are you going to the beach? Are you at the beach? Are you renting a beach house while doing the show?
It is a table cover thing because I am upping my game for Joe Fest. We'll be in Georgia on June the 26th, 27th, and 28th, representing Talking Joe. We have got table V25 by the Vestibule. That is the primo spot, Tim. Everyone's saying it. That's the primo spot.
So this image that you've put on screen looks like a 1080 by 1080 pixel square social media post, and it's got a photo of us plus Larry Hama in front of the amazing 3D Joe's restoration of the big Hector Garrido 1985 G.I. Joe promo art. And then the bottom half of it is yellow, and it has the Joe Fest logo, and it has the date for Joe Fest, and it has our logo. And you didn't make this.
I made it.
Oh, you made you made this? Not Joe Fest made this.
I made this, but I replicated the Joe Fest branding.
Okay. For a second, I was thinking, well, if Mark made that, that makes total sense. If Ed Schumacher made that, I guess we're sort of guests, but that's I'm so flattered because I can't believe that anyone would go to Georgia and be excited to meet us because, we just talk Joe. This isn't, it's like, technically, I guess we're sort of guests, but we're also press. Anyway, folks, if you think Mark and I are important or famous, please don't say so because it might go to our heads. If Mark makes this image and puts it on social media, then we're just trying to get our names out there. If Joe Fest makes this image, then I'm flattered and almost embarrassed.
They did do something very similar last year, so I'm just kind of preempting them.
I hope you send it to Ed Schumacher and they start posting it. Because the countdown is on this convention.
The countdown is
on.
So
as we speak,
almost
the amazing DFW GI Joe and action figure show is 7 days away in DFW, Dallas Fort Worth. That's a great show. I can't make it this year because I have a cool family thing that same weekend. That's a bummer. Because Larry Hama will be there and Ron Wagner will be there and both Talking Joe like Bill Ratner and Mary McDonald Lewis will be there. Voice actors of Flint and Lady J will be there, and 9 Hasbro designers and marketers will be there. Dan Klingensmith will be there, and the sort of Saturday night pay extra, get into it panel with the Hasbro guys sounds very cool.
Very good. So that was that. We are definitely upping our Joe Fest game as well as the table decoration. I've got some big plans to give away lots of cool stuff. So more on that down the road. And yeah, we'll be doing a what we're calling it, the runway to Joe Fest. We should be doing a live stream on Monday with the international heroes. Calling it the runway because it's the English and the Irish making our way via plane to Joe Fest. So hanging out and talking Joe Fest then.
Sorry, when you say Monday, do you mean 2 days after today when you and I are live streaming, or do you mean just a couple days before Joe Fest in a month?
Monday, the 5th of May.
Okay, 2 days from right now as I say this in the live stream. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes. And yes, if you're watching live, feel free to ping in and say hello. Like Joe, who says, this issue was lots of fun. I agree. So let's get into some comic stuff. And the first thing I was going to show was just a bit of a catch-up from last time. It was the silent issue number 21, with art by Tom Riley. Great issue. Love it. And I was thinking about the significance of this final panel after we talked about it. And I also saw some interesting theories put out there on the internet. And lots of people were saying, oh, yeah, we're definitely going to see the introduction of Snake Eyes. And we didn't. But one person out there did think from the Joe on Joe podcast wondered whether we might have seen a form of Snake Eyes, which is the Valkyrie on screen, and I guess the same Valkyrie that is in the pages of issue 22. So one of the big things about the original issue 21 was that, bandage coming off, the reveal of that red Arashikage tattoo and the mystery that created, and it being followed up in subsequent issues. Issue 21, we saw something not too far away from that, which was that the eyeglasses of this Valkyrie, or the goggles, were broken, and underneath that we got a little bit of a reveal. We saw these red eyes, which is very striking and unusual, and this very conspicuous bit of blonde hair. And yeah, Joe Malone's theory was that could this be a form of the Energon Universe Snake Eyes? And if it wasn't the actual Snake Eyes, could it be a what-if scenario where Snake Eyes is actually Snake Eyes' sister? That was his out there theory. Could we see a different sort of Snake Eyes? I had another take on what this might represent, and I wondered whether possibly this Valkyrie and the Valkyries in general, could they be part of Cobra Commander's shenanigans with those bodies in the giant test tubes, and some sort of reanimated kind of humanoid, and is that why they seem so particularly competent and deadly, and might also explain this otherworldly red eye. So I think there's lots of mystery to be had in this particular reveal of the Valkyrie with the blonde hair and the red eye.
I don't have anything to add. Just to play devil's advocate, I'll say maybe these 4 panels from issue 21 are just a way to make this Valkyrie an important character. Not some other Joe or Cobra that we've always known and wanted to debut, but a way to make this Valkyrie not the same as all the other Valkyries. And, maybe she never gets a code name. Maybe she never changes her costume. But she's the best. She's his favorite right now.
All around the skybound world, are you looking for some G.I. Joe? There's Autobots and Decepticons and creatures from the sacred ring. All we need is Energon, sweet Energon. There'll be Energon everywhere. There'll be robots swinging, aliens killing, and Decepticons in the streets. Yeah!
Yes, indeed. So first up from the Energon Universe, New Comic Book Day 2 weeks ago now, May 13th, 2025, was Transformers issue number 32, Elita 1's Autobot team revealed. From new regular artist Jason Howard and writer Robert Kirkman. Tim, what did you want to tell us about this particular issue?
Nothing. I want to talk about a different comic. If you're looking at the screen and you're wondering why I have a different comic, I'm holding the B cover. No, nothing G.I. Joe happened in issue 32. Transformers, right?
Yeah, I've not read it all the way through because I don't have my physical copy yet, I don't think. But I did a little sort of flick through of the preview, and it looks like a lot of Elita 1, lots of fighting between Autobots and Decepticons, the appearance of Shockwave. So lots of Transformers, looks exciting, but I don't think there's any G.I. Joe connective tissue in this particular one.
You know what's really funny? Remember a month or two ago, you were showing the cover to Void Rivals, and I said something like, has Void Rivals had a delay? I feel like it's been a long time since the last issue. And you said, no. And maybe you noticed I had a puzzled look on my face. It turns out that 2 months ago, my store, Mark, forgot to order Void Rivals. And so I actually did miss an issue. And if you're thinking, well, you're not a very conscientious comic book store owner, or you're not a very careful comic reader, because didn't you realize you were skipping ahead 20 pages when you read the next issue? The answer to both those questions are sorry and no. There are just so many comics to order and so many variant covers, and your local store has to order single issues and graphic novels from so many different places, right? Every store is different. My store, we do orders from, I think, 15 different distributors, right? And if you're thinking, well, there's Penguin Random House and there's Lunar, and that gets you the top 8 publishers. It's like, right, but I can get a better deal on Scholastic if I go to Scholastic directly, and I've got a Macmillan account, and I've got a Hachette account, etc. And there are so many variant covers.
Hachette.
Sometimes when you're going down a giant list or a giant order form, you just miss something. And I don't think any of our Void Rivals subscribers said anything. And then just all of a sudden, 2 months later, my manager, I saw on an order a previous issue, and I said to my manager, wait, didn't that issue already come out yet? I feel like the number is higher. He said, no, we missed it. So anyway, I look forward to, in a week, getting that issue that I missed from 2 months ago and then rereading the next two.
Okay, so Void Rivals 29 was the last one out. That was published April the 22nd. If you ordered it or bought it or remembered about it, the Quintesson War neared its conclusion as Darak and his father were put on trial. But what is an Elite Sharticon? And out next week is... Oh, and in that particular issue, we get to see sort of Boar, I think it's called, a sort of a weird transformed Royal Guard costume that's sort of taken life, a bit like a symbiote, venom creature thing
more,
with a life
more like
of its own.
clamshells and less like goo.
Yeah. So that's an interesting development. Lots of Pythona in Void Rivals every week, and looking to play a very important part. If you've seen August Solicitations, looks very exciting, very Pythona-y, and we've got a blacked out, redacted figure. I have theories on what that blacked out figure might be.
I have a theory. War is a popular word in comics, and now that there's been a DREADNOK War and a Quintesson War, I bet you sooner or later we'll have a story arc that is a Cobra Law War.
Could be.
Also, an Energon War and a Cybertron War, an Earth War, right? That could look back to an old Transformers UK story. Folks, just pick any term from G.I. Joe or Transformers and put the word war after it, and you might be naming a story arc coming out in the next couple of years.
Skidmark War. So out next week is the next issue of Void Rivals, and part 6 of 6, the finale to the Quintesson War. This particular cover, which is one of the variants, features Pythona holding a skull. Alas, poor, insert name here. I hardly knew ye. The Quintesson...
I think she's doing an Eric Larson Amazing Spider-Man cover where Venom is holding Spider-Man's skull, I think.
Okie dokie. So this one, the Quintesson War, is at its end. Sacrifices are made. Lives are lost. Life on the sacred ring will be changed forever. The most cataclysmic story of the Energon Universe ends here. Those are big words. Next issue, we'll check in on Skuxoid to provide a bit of a breather. You're going to need it. And this one, issue 30, leads into the Void Rivals story that was featured in the Energon Universe 2026 special. You might remember when we talked about it, we said that it felt like there was a bit of a gap between the Quintesson War story that we've seen so far and where they sort of start up the story in that special. And so it all becomes clear once you've seen this one. So Tim, you wanted to talk about something.
I just want. I'll just do this in 2 sentences. I know this is not an Energon Universe connection. This is more of a Real American Hero connection. But this week, from Alien Books, issue 1 of a new Zorro miniseries written by Howard Chaykin and drawn by Jorge Fornes, who wrote and drew the Silent Missions Firefly comic that we talked about recently on the show, and did all the covers, the A covers for these Silent Missions. And Fornes is doing a little bit of Alex Toth here.
Yep.
And I guess while we're talking about G.I. Joe connections, Howard Chaykin drew half of Hearts and Minds for IDW. And that's all I'm going to say about Zorro.
And a lot of, the Cobra covers as well were Chaykin.
Right.
So cool. Also out some additional covers for the Energon Universe 2026 special. This one on screen is by Ito, who's doing a lot of quite hot cover art lately in that sort of watercolor style of his. This features Optimus Prime, I think holding kind of an energy sword. I'm not entirely sure if that's a sword or background.
I think Optimus Prime here is coming back from the Masters of the Universe premiere in Los Angeles.
Okay, maybe.
And all that red on the bottom could be a red carpet. There we go.
But I think this one is from Top Shelf Comic. So their comics are a little bit harder to come by because they often don't make it especially clear how to get them, and they've released them in blind bags, so it's sort of mystery selection, that kind of thing. Easier to find is the Energon Universe 2026 special cover with Hot Rod, the Mars Team, G.I. Joe. It's everyone. It's that Transformers Mystery Lady, it's the Void Rivals crew, it's Matt Tracker, it's Duke and Baroness. And that one is from, let me see, Ivan, is that one? No, this one is Rodney Ramos and Lino Hernandez. It was a Del Rio Comic Con exclusive, but is also available online. And it's 616omni.com are selling this one online. If you do,
I think you may have the penciler and the inker's names transposed there, because Rodney Ramos is an inker.
Yeah, I think maybe he was listed up front in the blurb as the more recognizable name, perhaps.
Okay.
Right. Next up is some second printings. So this is more of those sort of blank white background covers by Jason Howard. I wonder how many of these there have been now. There's certainly a huge number. It's DREADNOK WAR, DREADNOK tie-in. So we've got a issue 13 second printing with Buzzer and a second cover B by Jason Howard of Xandar.
I think Skybound is slightly adjusting here, because previously when they've done second printings, there tends to be like the Autobots are the A cover and the Decepticons are the B cover for a Jason Howard, sort of pinup drawing. And then like there's a Cobra cover and a Joe cover. And here they're just two DREADNOK covers, but that's okay. I'm fine with them changing their standard here. I do think it's confusing to have multiple covers for second printings, but no one asked me.
Right. So now we can get into issue number 22 proper. This issue came out, as at the time of recording, just a couple of days ago. I literally went to the comic book shop and bought it, I was going to say with cold hard cash, but it was electronic. But I did buy a physical copy off the shelf. So that's a shout out to Dave's Comics in Brighton. They had the A, B, C, and D. I picked up the cover D at cover price.
Whoa! Did they not know, or are they just very nice?
I don't know. Maybe it's just the thing they do. I'm not entirely sure. So cool. This comes to us from writer Joshua Williamson, artist Andrea Milana, colorist Lee Lowridge, editor Ben Abernathy, publication design is Andres Juarez, and production is Richard Mercado. So now that we know what is happening on the creative cut side of things, let's have a look at what they stick on the front of these books.
Let's have a look at the covers in the gallery.
G.I. Joe issue 22, cover A, is drawn and colored by Tom Riley. This is a fun one because it's monochromatic, though there are a couple different hues. There's really just one color. There's a black background, there's a green logo, and then everything here is a version of green. It's Crystal Ball with his head slightly leaning forward, sneering and squinting his eyes, which are glowing a little bit. He has his hands up and he's starting to twiddle his fingers over his spherical crystal ball. In it, we see...
He's about to stroke his ball.
Stalker, Baroness and Risk on the left fighting Mercer Destro, and Chameleon on the right. The way that they are drawn, it looks like Tom Riley drew them separately and then in Photoshop turned that artwork in perspective to sort of give the, oh, look at that, I'm wrong. Maybe he did that in the pencil stage in Photoshop.
Yeah. I think he often works with doing some of the layout stuff on computer, printing it, and then going over blue lines on. Ink. So it's entirely possible that he did some stuff digitally as part of this process.
On the original artwork, you do see those characters in that space, and they are drawn in a little bit of a warped perspective. But all around this crystal ball are octopoid tentacles and sort of some glowing light And like I said, there are really like 5 colors on this whole cover. There are 2 tones of green for Crystal Ball's skin, and then there are like 2 other very similar tones of green for everything else. It's pretty striking. And just as a little thought exercise, I was thinking about this beforehand, Mark. If you were Andre Juarez and you're doing the publication design and you put the logo here, you get to decide what color the logo is going to be. Is it going to be definitely one of the 4 or 5 colors that's already on the cover? And if so, which one? Or is it going to be a different cover so it like pops? If it's a different color, like blue or yellow, is it too different and it's now distracting? Or do you want it to agree? And again, if it's one of these 3 or 4 greens that's already the color, that's already on the cover, do you pick the lightest one so it really jumps out from the black background? Or do you, as Juarez did, pick the darkest one? And it's reading a little bit differently on screen right now, Mark, with your digital version. But the printed copy that I have, the G.I. Joe logo up top, disappears a little bit. It is not the highest contrast thing, right, on the cover. And I think that's because they really want the image to pop. But as a thought exercise, folks, what color or what version of green would you put for the logo here?
Yeah, interesting. I think my inclination would have been for a lighter green.
Me too.
Or maybe even a white might have been interesting to see.
B3. Mark, have we seen Crystal Ball on a G.I. Joe cover before?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I think he, in the ERA continuity, he only appeared once, which was in Special Missions, that Herb Trimpe written issue Ladies' Day.
Okay.
And the only and then he appeared in the what's the publisher that did like the 3D issues?
Blackthorn.
I have a feeling that he appeared on one of those.
Okay.
And then almost certainly he's appeared in the IDW era.
Oh, he was on, or wasn't he on a cover of Cobra? Or am I thinking of
Serpentor? There was the Chuck Dixon verse Cobra kind of series, and he was sort of reinvented as a bit of a kind of Alan Moore kind of mystic with sort of metallic gloves, which have, I think, influenced the design that we see here from the classified toy. But then also Harmer used Crystal Ball a little more actively in his IDW ERA run, and yes, I think he appeared a few times then as well.
Yes, remember when in the lead up to issue 300, he's pretending to deliver pizzas at the edge of Springfield? Greg Augustin hears Vincent Price's thriller laughter in looking at this cover. And I'm not going to right now, but I'm always ready to perform Vincent Price's thriller laughter when I'm in front of a crowd or a microphone. Okay.
I did not know that it was Vincent Price voice on Thriller.
Yeah, and the special edition that came out in like 2005 or 2010 includes the third verse of Vincent Price's quote rap, which is not in the released version of the song. Okay, cover B. It's drawn by Joshua Cassara and colored by Romulo Fajardo Jr. Here is the Baroness. We see her head and shoulders, one arm, and her torso. She's leaning in diagonally from the left side. Her teeth are gritted and her eyes are a little bit closed. So she's sort of thinking or sort of concentrating or straining. And then behind her are all of these scary heads. There's a snake head that's sort of glowing green with glowing red eyes. There's a what sort of looks like under the G of the logo, maybe like someone with a helmet with goggles. And I think that's a skull. There's there's sort of a wolf, green glowing head. There's another skull under a helmet, which to me just says Bludgeon from Transformers, but that could be the Hasbro kid in me. Mark, I feel like the head that's directly over the Baroness here, the helmet with the sort of the 4 Jack Kirby, sort of looks like Hardak from Batman the Animated Series, but it has 4 circles, not 3. Is that a design that we know? Is that from some classified toy that I should know?
It could be. Certainly this helmet with the skull on it That is the G.I. Joe classified Ghost Viper, and possibly one of the that one of his alternate heads is this same mask with the red eyes and sort of a slightly buggy looking thing. So that's that same thing, the Ghost Viper classified figure.
Okay, so
interesting cover reveal. They've introduced this character in there on the cover.
So there
not yet
there are two. All right, so there are two heads here that are. It's a skull with a helmet. They're the same. One's on the top left, one's on the bottom right, and then also the one with the 4 dots. All 3 of those you're saying is from the Ghost Viper action figure.
And also it included heads of a wolf and a snake as well.
Does the Ghost Viper figure have any connection to Crystal Ball? Because the figures do have sort of a file card, right, nowadays?
Yes, it's got this same Crystal Ball D.I.R.E technology. So D.I.R.E, D-I-R-E, standing for Dread-Inducing Responsive Energy. So there's now it's a kind of a thing of this Crystal Ball tech in the classified series, with a few characters sort of having that carried across into their design, their aesthetic. So
okay, all right. So we could spell this out here that Baroness here is being sort of attacked or haunted by some Ghost Viper projections or hallucinations. Is that how you would do this in a sentence? Mm-hmm. The color scheme for the cover, she's very warm. There's a lot of she's very pink and orange, her armor and her skin, and then everything behind her is more green and yellow.
Oh wait, I've got some process
neat.
for this image here. So cool. Joshua Cassara is very good at sharing his processes on the social medias. So sort of showed the initial kind of outline, a much more sort of simplistic kind of thumbnail-y view of that image, but still sort of with the same basic idea of a close-up of Baroness being sort of haunted by these dire creatures behind her, firmed up into black and white and grey tones, and then coloured.
Cool.
So that was that.
Cover C is open to order. It is not a rare variant. It is a Head and Shoulders portrait of Risk by Ben Oliver with that same bluish gray out of focus background we've seen now a bunch. Might be a concrete wall. There's a little bit of subtle dramatic lighting. Risk is lit from the right, and the left side of his face, his right side of his face, is a little bit in shadow. He's got a jacket and tie with a little G.I. Joe star and stripes lapel pin, and he's looking straight at us, half relaxed and half focused. Cover D is drawn and colored by Tonči Zonjić. This one is another one of these very cool sort of 2/3 vertical divided sort of negative space covers, all in 2 colors. So up and down, not quite the center of the image, is the outline silhouette of Risk's shotgun. Inside the space of the shotgun, he is looking at us. His head is turning, and you get a little bit of his shoulders and chest, including some like shotgun shells and the like armor on his chest with the G.I. Joe logo. And then in all the space on the left and right are these Ghost Vipers standing sort of as a legion, sort of like on bleachers, a whole bunch of them standing in front of a whole bunch more, a little bit lower than the ones behind. And some of them have the helmet with the 4 circles. Some of them have a helmet with a skull. 2 of them have helmets with sort of animal heads. And the whole thing is done in 2 colors, black plus aqua and a sort of muted dark blue. Striking.
I'll just for the people who like us to be accurate on this stuff. You said shotgun. I think technically it's a Winchester rifle with a lever action.
Thank you.
Which probably for people who care about these things, I want to make sure that we're being right. And I've got an image here now on screen of this Dire Tech Ghost Viper, so you can probably see in bigging it a bit. You can see that there's the kind of the buggy kind of more tech helmet, the ghost helmet, as well as a wolf and snake and various other effects there.
Okay, so the Ghost Viper from the neck down is a re-release of the Viper, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
With a much more muted palette. It's kind of blue and black and red, but a grayish blue and an orangey muddy red. Okay. Oh, and then all the green stuff is like what you'd be hallucinating?
Yeah. So I guess it's a combination of possibly hallucination, possibly projection from this technology. I think we get a bit of a hint that maybe it's more than just hallucination in the story.
Folks, if you're with us live, tell us in the comments what you think of the Ghost Viper and the dire tech stuff from Classified. Greg Augustin says Crystal Ball has gone from hypnotist, psyop interrogator, cult leader, and now tech-based mystic. Greg, don't forget, he's using an alien fuel source. So that deserves some other additional adjective in there for his most recent.
Let's not forget weirdo.
And then cover A, B, C, D, E is the 1 in 50. I didn't say this. The previous one was 1 in 25. Cover E is the 1 in 50 variant. It is drawn and colored by Andrea Milana. I think it's very fun when the person drawing the alternating arcs and is not the series cover artist gets to do some covers. We're pulled back a little bit. We see Stalker full figure, taking a step cautiously. His weapon is drawn. He's got his one hand is on his wrist. His other hand is holding his pistol. It has a light on it. We're looking slightly up at him. Behind him is a ramshackle, dilapidated, let's say haunted house. There's a staircase. There's the wallpaper is coming off. You can see the wall boards and gaps between them. There are hanging diagonally various mirrors and pieces of framed, let's say, family stuff on the walls. The floor, the walls are a bit torn up, but most excitingly, looming over him, much larger than the scale of a 6 foot tall human, coming from that second floor landing, is a slightly glowing green person monster.
Boogie monster.
Baby bug. Yes. Let's say boogie monster. Not clothed, has long stringy hair, sort of crazy glowing red eyes, some veins, missing some teeth, and sort of head cocked, and fun and spooky.
I forgot to say this at the time, but I think possibly one or two of these covers would be great as a glow-in-the-dark effect. Imagine some of these greens could be that sort of glow-in-the-dark kind of ink that you would have. I think that would be great. I think particularly on that Tonči Zonjić cover, that would have been very cool.
Fun fact, the comic book store that I worked at in high school had a very small bathroom, as comic book stores tend to do, and pinned up on the wall were 3 or 4 comic books with glow-in-the-dark covers. So when you went in and turn the light out on your way to leave, like Mark Texiera's Ghost Rider 15 skull was like suddenly staring back at you in this tiny, dark, rectangular cube of a space from the wall. And I remember another one was, I think, one of those Neil Adams continuity covers that, because there was like 2 years where every Neil Adams comic had a cover enhancement. Anyway, Mark, are there any retailer exclusive variants of issue 22?
There are 2 this month.
Before you put them on screen, can I guess? Is it the Baroness and the Baroness?
Why are there so many covers of Baroness?
So from 616 Comics, it is Chris Ng with the Baroness. It comes in 2 flavors, an explosion background, not the Greedo background, but sort of more of a sort of a halo explosion behind the Baroness, and a blue background foil cover. It is the Baroness from thighs up, a cock tip, arm on the hip, holding up a weapon and looking wistfully just slightly past us.
I'm gonna directly say a rare grumpy thing And I think 616 Comics should introduce some variety to their retailer exclusives. I think it's time. I'm getting bored of these. Sorry, folks.
Yes, indeed. So the other variant is, as at time of recording, unknown. From the credits on the inside front cover, we can see that there is a credit for Torin Clark, but there is not yet any evidence that I can find on the interwebs of the existence of that cover. So sometimes that happens, that you get a reveal perhaps a week after the issue is about, maybe even later. Oftentimes it might be that the issue is being held back as a show exclusive, so is revealed for a particular convention.
You know, up until now, anytime in the last year or two that we've mentioned one of these retailer exclusives where the comic is now out, but we don't know what a certain retailer exclusive cover looks like, up until now I've thought that's a small problem that feels like an issue of scheduling, or like too much is going on and all the approvals and all the production and all the shipping, and then that store, you know, or that artist like putting it on their website or their social media, like they've run out of time. And it seems like a small failing of scheduling. And that's sort of a harsh word, but I feel like you should know what you're getting before you get it, and you should be able to see it before it comes out. I'm starting to wonder if there's starting to be sort of a benefit to having a cover or two be revealed after the fact. Like, as a store owner, I don't like this, but if it's someone other stores exclusive, I guess they can do what they want. And maybe the fans who are going for these don't really care that like they can get this comic a week or two after the issue actually comes out, because they're just here for this limited thing, the sexy Baroness cover, or like the shiny foil one, or it's at a convention. And if it doesn't really matter that like the Baroness isn't in a lot of these issues, maybe it doesn't really matter that it comes out a week, finger quotes, late. But I wonder if it's in a way sort of extending the excitement of a new issue. Like, well, that comic came out 2 weeks ago, but we got this special version, right? And maybe this is just sort of the new version of, folks, if you ever looked at Diamond Previews catalog, when that was still being published, in the Dynamic Forces section, which is the sister company to Dynamite Entertainment, there would be signed copies of comics, and there'd be like some anniversary issue of like Amazing Spider-Man from 6 months ago, and it's like signed by the inker, and it comes out now, and it's like limited to 500. And I would think, oh, didn't we miss that? Like, the excitement of that anniversary is over, but you know, maybe that's a way to extend the excitement. So maybe this is just sort of the new version of that. Mark, back to you.
Yeah, and I suspect that generally when this does happen, that it's just a single print run, and that it is, you know, made available to the retailer, and they just decide to hold them back rather than it being necessarily a delay in producing the thing.
It is possible that it's not a scheduling problem, but some of these issues have more retailer exclusives than others, right? And you can imagine the pipeline, like Skybound, people actually emailing, and then the printer actually like shipping comics, and like, what's the least important? Well, the 500 copies that are going to this one store. Didn't this happen this week? Didn't DC delay an issue of Absolute Batman, and I think an issue of Absolute something else, because the print run of Absolute Green Arrow #1 was so big? Just the actual like pipeline of printing copies and trucking them and processing them. Okay, you can go to your thing, Mark.
Okay. From this point onwards, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't yet read G.I. Joe issue number 22, be warned.
Watch out! There's spoilers ahead! Turn back before it's too late!
Right, let's get into the plot breakdown.
Plot breakdown.
In Cobra Commander's throne room, he requests that Destro go on a field mission to investigate a new Energon location, the same location that a G.I. Joe team of Risk, Stalker, and Baroness have also been sent to investigate. Asleep on a transport to Bad Hikistan, Risk dreams of a mission gone wrong. They investigate a spooky city, abandoned because it is haunted. They run into Destro, Chameleon, and Mercer, and while the two teams face off against each other, they are grabbed by green tentacles, including Mercer, who is dragged into a building. Investigating, Risk encounters ghostly figures that resemble his fallen comrades from his earlier dream. Meanwhile, Crystal Ball observes what is going on in his monitors surrounded by Energon and describes how his dire tech reads your mind to find your fears and create illusions. Let the games begin. There we go, Tim. And we've got a radical sort of extra bit in this episode, which is that I have got a live comic because I've got it in my very grubby mitts. So there's my hand above the comic. The comic is live. So we can...
If you're listening and not watching, it's like we have a third guest. It's like Mark and me are each in one window, and then there's another window. But instead of someone like Chris McLeod talking, it's just a comic book sitting on a table. And Mark's hand comes into the image, and you can see glare because Mark's lit it pretty well, but the glare everywhere in these glossy pages.
Okay.
So I wanted to jump ahead a couple pages, otherwise I was going to forget. Badhikistan.
Yeah.
Where did we first hear that word? Where did we first read that word? Which continuity is that from?
So I believe that Badhikistan was a Brandon Jerwa invention for G.I. Joe from Devil's Due. So I think there was it's a sort of Middle Eastern-y kind of invented country. In the G.I. Joe continuity, but I don't think it's existed or been used in Larry Hama's ARA continuity unless it's been subsequently sort of looped back in. But that it has previously existed, and I believe that's where it's from.
Okay. All right. So we'll come back to this when we get to page 6. That's that scene, because I have one more thing to say about that. Looks like you want to start on page 1.
Well, why not? I love this introductory sequence. I think it's great and so different. This edition, it comes immediately on the back of the last issue. You remember we've closed out the issue. Cobra Commander was successful. He had captured that Arashikage Energon sword. He had this Valkyrie by his side on that mission. And here she is, sort of perched by his side on the throne. And they're a little bit tactile. There's a little bit of sexual energy going on here between Cobra Commander and this Valkyrie. It's an interesting dynamic. She's
sitting on the, let's call it armrest of his snake throne. And she has her hand on his shoulder, and her thigh is not touching his arm, but it's pretty close. I do think she's gotten a new helmet or taken off her broken goggles, right? This is like an hour later or a week later. This is 5 minutes after landing. Yes, they do seem to be a little physically flirty, or at least she is. I want to point out, I feel like it's so embedded in the scene and how issue 21 ended. We haven't said it out loud, and we should. Cobra Commander is holding a ninja sword. And, in G.I. Joe comics, usually it's a ninja who hold the ninja swords. Or some kid who's training to be a ninja. And Cobra Commander is not a ninja. He's a Cobra Law man who's like still kind of human, not really. And
although this is the week that we have had a reveal from Super 7 of the new ninja, is it Ninja Commando? Cobra Commander.
Is it Ninja Force Cobra Commander?
Ninja Force, yeah, Ninja Force Cobra Commander.
Maybe while I talk for 2 sentences, you can quickly grab an image. This is an all new design. This is not based on any unproduced Hasbro design. This is Super 7 just having fun and extrapolating what a Cobra Commander would look like. Although, you know what it sort of reminds me of? Who's the Sea Slug, Sea Ray, Sea Devil? Who's the Cobra guy? Who's sort of like
purpley?
Yeah,
look to him.
Yeah, I mean, Ninja Force Cobra Commander has 3 throwing stars on his chest, so he sort of looks like a cross between, Storm Shadow version 1 and like Cobra Commander version 3, red and blue. I've run out of things to say to kill time, and Mark's going to put an image on screen right.
Well, sometime soon.
Now, anyway, so we're taking Chris McLeod's. I bet Chris McLeod was going to talk about this for 2 hours, and now
he did that yesterday. Full Force Weekly was brought forward to last yesterday evening.
Okay.
We have
anyway. So yes, that is a fun bit of synchronicity, and I'm not saying that this means anything, and I'm not saying that Cobra Commander is going to become a ninja. There we go. Here's a photo in hand of a Super 7 Reaction Plus Cobra Commander figure, and it looks like you took version 1 Cobra Commander from 1982 and mushed it together with Storm Shadow version 1. It's red and blue. He's Talking Joe Comics. Oh, that's you. Talking Joe Comics. Mark is typing. Tactical Toy Box by DOCJM has in-hand images of Ninja Force Cobra Commander. That's what the watermark is. Okay, anyway, let's go back to talking about comics. I just wanted to say that it feels unusual for a sword that is so identified with a culture and a nationality to be in the hands of someone who's not that culture or nationality. I mean, like, I guess Scarlet can have a ninja sword and she's an American. But there's an extra level here. It's sort of like in the 1985 episode of G.I. Joe when Storm Shadow wields Excalibur, right? It's like, hey, that sword belongs to a different country. How interesting.
Cultural appropriation.
I think it was just appropriation. I think he just stole it. Cobra Commander. Greg Augustin says, it's like I'm in a class and Professor Mark is presenting on the overhead projector. All right.
So I think you were we talk about is kind of, the Valkyrie as being, leaning into Cobra Commander. It looks like maybe she's got, her arm resting on his shoulder, maybe behind his back. And when he is talking to Destro, he is looking up at the Valkyrie. So it does feel like it's reciprocated, and indeed on the next page over, as they're kind of walking out of the room here, it looks like he has rested his hand on her back. So it feels like there is a thing going on. I think that maybe in modern parlance they might be shaboinking. He calls it the Ride of the Valkyries.
Oh, jeez. Mark, you know how I feel about sex in G.I. Joe. I was just going to stop at their being flirty. I just want to point out also on page 1 and on page 2, behind the giant Cobra throne is a giant Cobra logo. So,
their branding is on point.
The Cobra motif. It is a motif. I really like the middle panel on page 2, where Cobra Commander has pointed the sword at Destro to say something a little threatening, right? Are you questioning my authority? And Destro says no, and he pulls the sword back. But it was just 2 inches from Destro's chin, and Andrea Milana draws a nice blur. And I feel like a lot of artists doing American comics in the last 10, 15 years have pulled this in from manga, where if someone's like kicking or swinging a sword, you draw it sort of stretched out with like some like jagged, zigzaggy lines on either edge. Anyway, that was my favorite panel, the first 2 pages, where he pulls the sword back. And as I was reading this, I was thinking, how much is Destro going to stand up to Cobra Commander? Because, previously Cobra Commander is much more powerful. And Cobra Commander has said, we're going to work together, but I'm in charge. We know that Destro doesn't like that. And clearly on the bottom panel, and then on the final 2 panels of page 2 here, clearly Joshua Williamson is writing Cobra Commander to remind us, the reader, that Cobra Commander knows that Destro betrayed him already. And the question is, does Destro now know that Cobra Commander knows that he, Destro, betrayed him? Cobra Commander, pronoun, proper noun, pronoun.
Yeah, so Cobra Commander wants Destro to go on a field mission, and Destro is pushing back on this idea. He's better suited here to work on his weapons development. And yeah, Cobra Commander, he is not taking this one lying down. He is very much
he's taking it standing up, having just
standing up and
sitting.
standing up and pointing a sword at him. Are you questioning my authority? Of course not, Commander. Excellent. And yeah, he's saying, take your people with you, your inner circle. It'll be a Destro and your gang mission. We wouldn't want anything to happen to you like what happened to me when I went to find Energon and the Dreadnoks ambushed me. So this is Destro having set Cobra Commander up for an ambush, and Cobra Commander being aware of what has happened. So he is not completely subtly kind of saying, look what happened to me when I went out on my own to find Energon. It'd be a shame if anything happened to you.
Speaking of subtle, I don't approve of this joke. I just have to say it, and then we're going to move on. Cobra Commander is pointing his sword at Destro. Is he also pointing his sword at the Valkyrie? Okay. Then we go to London.
This is beneath you, Tim.
I know. Just as a standard, the joke needed to be told, but it's not good.
Dear me.
All right, so on the next page, there's a misdirect, folks, because the caption says London. The color scheme does not say flashback. And a little later, in fact, 2 pages later, colorist Lee Lowridge does a single panel flashback in the middle of a scene. Where the scene is sort of normal, like muted full color Lee Lowridge. And then there's this one panel, right? Because again, I'm jumping ahead 2 pages. Baroness says, you heard Hawk's orders. And then there's this one panel flashback back at headquarters where Hawk and these 3 Joes are in front of a giant hologram of the globe. And Hawk says, go on this mission. And it's the 3 of them. It's Risk, Baroness, and Stalker. Sorry, it was Risk, Baroness, and Cover Girl. And maybe someone covered up by a word balloon.
Yeah, and it's, while we're talking about it, it's a literal flashback to this page panel from issue number 19.
It's a reuse of some art, but it has new word balloons on it. Andrea Milana, saving some time.
Yeah, is it? Yeah, it does. It's identical, isn't it? That one. Interesting.
Like the dialogue is completely different, but in the spirits. But what I'm getting at is that I'm okay with this misdirect. I do feel like as a standard, this issue of G.I. Joe is inconsistent in its rules, but that's okay. Because after the 2-page scene with Destro and Cobra Commander, there's this establishing panel of London that's all in muted purples. And then you have this scene of some special forces people geared up with helmets and machine guns and stuff rushing down a hallway. And the scene changes from those muted purples to beiges. And one of them is Risk. And I thought, oh, this must be a flashback because Risk is not a Joe. And these aren't Joes. And then I thought, maybe these are some Joes and we've jumped ahead, or this is like a side mission and we didn't know that Risk has been loaned out to some other people. And then on the final panel of this page 3, Risk has just been saying, I'm really good at my job. And the bad guys are definitely, we're definitely ready to go through this doorway. And on the final panel, someone puts their hand on the handle of a door. And I thought, oh, something bad's going to happen. This must be a flashback. This must be like Risk's great pain, his secret pain.
Yeah, indeed.
And then you turn the page and everyone gets shot by some bad guys. And this is not connected to Cobra or Destro or Cobra Law. This is just Risk on a military mission that went badly before G.I. Joe. And then the scene, it's sort of now all illuminated by like the yellow of all this machine gun fire and explosion. And it is not the sort of like almost black and white of the one panel flashback that comes a page later. and that's okay.
And I guess it's, these things being what they are, it's probably intentional that we're not meant to immediately realize whether this is present or past, and I guess it's a way of it's like a misdirect of here we go in London, Risk is on a mission, we no explanation really as to what's going on, and it's only page 3 he sort of gasps and we wakes up and we realize that actually this is
page 5 that he guessed.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. And this, I meant page 3 of the sequence. It's only then that we actually realize, oh, that's a dream, a memory.
I guess it doesn't have to be almost black and white as a flashback, because it's happening in the present tense in Risk's brain as he's dreaming. So that's sort of the explanation. We haven't talked about excellent sound effects. The sound effects, are those Andrea Milana?
So on the screen at the moment is Andrea Milana's art that he's shared on his Instagram. So it's shows how he works. That is in the line work, he has a lot of grey tones that he provides to the colorist to help inform color choices. But he's also working with a lot of lettering from the bang 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 effects on this page, sort of in the foreground, midground, backgrounds, as the bullets are sort of hailing past these police guys, all sort of sweated up. Yeah, this is Milana's lettering in his art rather than the letterer.
And they're all done by hand, and they're all different from each other, and they're all really energetic. They're, as Mark said, they're sort of in space. Some of them are in front of these soldiers, some are between them, some are behind them. They overlap a little bit. They're all like italicized or reverse italicized, so there's a real oomph and urgency to them, and they are a part of the artwork in the best way. And even the boom, on the final panel of page 4, right, the boom is behind the explosion, but what it says. It doesn't say boo, it says boom. Folks, that's a publisher, and I got a comic coming out from Boom Studios right now. Back to G.I. Joe. Dun, 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 dun. Now back to G.I. Joe. All right, so then Baroness says something great.
What does she say, Tim? Oh, she said, is it the bit where she says, he says, it was just a nightmare, and she says, I don't care.
Yes. It's these small moments where the characterization can sort of disproportionately inform the reader. You might be looking for the big dramatic moment, like follow me, or like I'll take out the missile, the rest of you go in. But here they're just in the back of a helicopter, and you expect the Baroness, we've seen her soft a little bit. She and CoverGirl have had some moments. She was worried about her parents being killed by a crazy bird man. And I think just about every issue, she gets to say something grumpy where the Joes are bickering with each other, disagreeing about something of the parameters of the mission, or lying, or there's an alien robot. And I really appreciate that she continues to be not just have attitude, but sort of subtly in opposition to the Joes. And maybe the only connection is with CoverGirl. And my heart will be very slightly broken in an issue or two when they're having some scene and CoverGirl's like, oh, my gun is jammed. And I'm like, Baroness, throw her your spare gun. And Baroness is like, well, you should have cleaned it.
And to the point of characterization, like Baroness has had all of these missions and experiences with Duke, and it feels like there's a sort of softening in the relationship there, and now she's sort of had this bonding moment with CoverGirl, and they've got this different dynamic. She probably hasn't had that with Risk. So you've kind of got Baroness as a specific character and specific voice, but then she's also got a specific relationship with Risk as well, where she's probably more likely to be a bit tetchy with her. And it's great that we're getting these very distinct voices and characterizations, and sort of as a contrast to the last book we were talking about, where we thought some of the dialogue was coming out of the characters' mouths weren't necessarily tied into the personality of that particular character.
You mean a comic book that was not an Energon Universe comic book?
Exactly, yeah.
And then something interesting happens on the bottom of this page 5. Stalker is piloting this helicopter, and I'm okay with all of the Joes having not just primary and secondary, but also tertiary specialties. And the tertiary specialty is whatever is required of a scene, like also a black belt or pilot. I'm so used to A Real American Hero, that monthly comic, where sort of the only pilots we see are Lift Ticket and Wild Bill, and occasionally Ghost Rider, that to see Stalker piloting a helicopter, I'm thinking, what is this, a 1985 episode where like 5 Joes all jump into Sky Strikers by themselves and they're all pilots? Which, by the way, I'm fine with. I just haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, I want to say as well, without checking back, but that Stalker has previously been seen piloting aircraft of some description
in the Energon Universe.
I'd have to double check to be completely confident on that one, but I think it's not necessarily the first time.
Everyone's tertiary military specialty, jack of all trades. Okay, so we get to page 6, and the top half of pages 6 and 7 are a spread. It's not a full 2-page spread, but it's a 2-page spread. And we're in this valley, and there are mountains in the background, and the helicopter lands, and some distance away from the helicopter are a bunch of buildings going up this hill, up this mountain, and in and amongst them are a lot of trees. And I think the description, retroactively, I feel like a description in Joshua Williamson's script for Andrea Milana is the word overgrown, right? That the trees have overgrown in and around this village, this town. And because I read a lot of Marvel, I look at this and I think Latveria. But what I'm really reacting to here is I feel a slight disconnect because previously, a couple pages ago, we cut to some buildings and like a famous structure, and it says London, and that's a city. And now we are looking at this like village, and the caption is a whole country. Now, maybe Joshua Williamson sees Badhikistan as a city or a city-state and not a whole country. But I feel like somewhere someone should have said, you're going to so-and-so, the capital city of Badhikistan, or you're going to so-and-so, the westernmost populated city of Badhikistan. And if this is like really small, like Luxembourg, which is real, and Latveria, which is also real, I mean, it's not, or Wakanda, right? That's fine. I just wish someone would explain it. And your counter could be, well, Tim, the 80s G.I. Joe cartoon was rarely specific with where they were going geographically. And in fact, Steve Gerber's Bible refers to that. Okay. Or you could say, well, Larry Hama makes up a bunch of fictional countries and you only ever know what continent you're in, right? This one's in Europe, this one's in South America. But I do feel like instead of it saying Badhikistan here, it should say like city of so-and-so, or like settlement of so-and-so, or village of so-and-so, comma, Badhikistan. And that's how I feel about geography.
And that's, the final chapter of that one. I was trying to do in the background, just have a quick look to see if it's ever mentioned what the city of Badhikistan is. Cobra's Monolith Base is just north of the capital city of Badhikistan, and unnamed on this particular page.
Are you looking at a Devil's Due page or an Energon Universe page?
I'm looking at a Wikipedia page about the original one. Yeah, I don't know. It might be that the city, capital city in Badhikistan, hasn't previously been named.
I guess it's also possible, like Mexico, that the capital city is also named after the country.
Could be. Badhikistan, city of Badhikistan.
But that's confusing.
Good no prize. Yeah. Yeah, what this it was described as a city on the page by one of the Joes. It says, Stalker says, the file said that the people left because the city was haunted. It doesn't feel necessarily quite as big as a city, or, you know, in terms of the image that we're seeing here. But what it did make me think of was the kind of spooky city that the BPRD team might rock up to, as illustrated by the magnificent Guy Davis in some of those early, you know, Hellboy spin-off series. I don't know, Tim, if you spent much time reading those stories, but spooky cities, crumbly architecture, you know, very much a touch point.
I know the reference.
Very good.
There was the Tonči Zonic just did cover for the new like Lobster Johnson, right? Yep. Omnibus, which has a bunch of his. Greg Augustin reminds us that in issue 21, Snowjob piloted Scarlet in a helicopter too. So, Snowjob's tertiary military specialty, jack of all trades.
This double page spread also features my favorite moment from this particular issue. Tim, I don't know if you picked up on this one. It's in the bottom left-hand corner. Where are we?
Yeah, the sound effect.
Yeah, he's got a little bibber remote for his helicopter. A key fob.
Stalker has a key fob for the helicopter, and it's when he pushes a button, it says, Mark,
blip bloop, beep securer. I just love that. It tickled me.
I like the conversation in the next scene or two about radiation as a potential problem here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like we should go in, we shouldn't go in. There's an animal or there's not. And this is not me saying, call in Airtight. Although, did you know, Mark, that Airtight's tertiary military specialty gets him in on another helicopter? And every issue, Joshua Williamson in the letters page says how much he wants to bring in more characters. Here's a point where we can talk about this issue doing something that the G.I. Joe Energon Universe has now done before, which is horror. And actually, speaking of the Crystal Ball incarnation of the IDW Cobra series, that was a little bit of horror. And then in the letters page, Joshua Williamson says, am I getting to the theme too early? Says, this 3-issue arc was actually influenced by one of my favorite episodes of the cartoon. It's one of the weirder episodes. I'm curious if you can guess which episode it was. Skeletons in the Closet.
Okay.
Obviously. Which is the one where Cobra Commander finds a witch and has 3 objects. What is it? A ring, a something, and a something. And this, it's not a witch. She's I forget. It's BJ Ward doing her Scarlet voice, but doing like older and more raspy. And she summons 3 ghosts: the ghost of a World War I American pilot, and the ghost of a like Mongolian warrior, and the ghost of a Roman centurion. And the idea is that Cobra is going to try out using ghosts. And a couple Joes show up, and there's a castle, and there's a moment where this skeleton terrifies Cobra Commander, and it is one of the coolest moments in all of the G.I. Joe cartoon. And it's really weird because it doesn't quite have a lead-in or a follow-up when this skeleton for a moment haunts Cobra Commander. I think, Mark, you have an image, not from a season 1 Skeletons in the Closet episode, but from the season 2 episode. Oh, I'm sorry. Phantom Brigade. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Phantom Brigade is what I was just describing. 3 ghosts, a witch, skeleton scares Cobra Commander, season 1. Mark has pulled up an image from Skeletons in the Closet, season 2, when it turns out that Lady J and Destro are very distantly related. Lady J walks around in her nightgown, and there's this moment of a Cthulhu-esque monster in the basement of this castle. I do think this arc was influenced by Phantom Brigade and not Skeletons in the Closet. But folks, if you guessed Skeletons in the Closet, you get our consolation prize, which is a tertiary military specialty.
Excellent. That's the one where you're the best there is at what you do for everything. Cool. So, we sort of, I guess, turn the page, and we're, getting into spooky grounds. They're being overlooked by something with like a kind of a gnarly green curled fingers. Risk says, "Do you believe in ghosts, Stalker?" And Stalker replies, "We've come face to face with giant robots, so I'll believe in a lot. I've seen things in the jungle I could never explain." So I like that Stalker's being very pragmatic here. Like, we're living in the world of giant transforming robots. It'd be foolish to write off anything too weird too early. But also this reference to seeing things in the jungle, you can't help but then sort of think of visualizing Stalker kind of in that LLRP kind of environment as well, and sort of thinking back to what has happened in Stalker's past that we haven't yet seen or did he mean described.
Or did he mean the urban jungle as referenced in his 1982 file card?
Where he's a Detroit gang leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. I saw these sort of spooky. It's a bit of a trope. Our sort of heroes are overlooked through broken glass windows by seen or unseen spookiness. One of the things that it brought to my mind, Tim, and you might like this one, is this Transformers, a Transformers issue, Transformers UK, where the got a group of Transformers. In a sort of zombie Transformer city overlooked by these phantom type spookiness.
Were they called sparklers in the UK? Weren't they called like the Sparkabots in the US?
the little ones where the Transformer cars where you sort of go like that and then sparks come out their butt. Is that right? Okay.
This I think that's from 1988, and I was on my way out of Transformers in 1988 because there were only 3 new episodes, and although I liked the story, the animation was crummy. My final Transformers toy as a kid, bought in 1988, Hunger. Speaking of monsters, 2-headed dinosaur. Okay, so we have this scene where they're making their way through I'm going to call it a village, and they hear a loud noise, and they draw their weapons, and this was really fun. I was expecting on the page turn at the bottom of this page on the right that you've got here, Mark, where Stalker says crap. I was expecting them to run into Crystal Ball, one of his monsters, maybe like a bat, like a zombie bat, a Cobra battle android trooper, not a Transformer. I was not expecting them to run into Cobra. And that was a fun sort of contraction of time where in the first scene in the issue, Cobra Commander says, Destro, go on this mission. And then we completely skip Destro getting some people to go on the mission and getting there. And we already pick up with Destro and his 2 people having heard spooky noises. So I feel like that's a really good example of the sort of fast pace, the rush of the Energon Universe storytelling. Because I'm sure there'd be a good conversation between Destro and Chameleon or Destro and Mercer on the plane heading towards Badhikistan. We don't actually need it. And then we get this really fun, I think this was my favorite scene in the issue. The 3 Joes and the 3 Cobras, or the 3 Joes and the 3 Destros, just having this 3-page talk.
3 Destros, I love it. But that first line of dialogue as you turn the page and they meet each other for first time is great. Your scare tactics are not going to work on us, G.I. Joe. It sort of like tells you so much so economically about what has happened to Destro and his team up to that point already. Yeah, love it.
Yeah. I also like at the bottom of this page, I think we've seen this 2 or 3 times before. I don't remember where Risk says, Mercer says, you've had eyes on us, and Risk responds, we just landed, Cobra. And I really like that. they either don't all know each other's names, or Risk isn't giving Mercer the pleasure of hearing his name. He's not paying the respect of using Mercer's name.
Yeah,
you know,
it's kind of a bit dismissive, isn't it?
Yeah, he's not being familiar, right? He's not being familiar, Mark. He's being a little unfamiliar, podcaster.
Podcaster. Yeah. Robert Strebin, 5419, says Joes need low light there. He's not scared of anything. Is that true, Tim? He's not scared of anything?
I mean, that's another good episode from season 2, Nightmare Assault.
Okay.
Where the show picks up that thread from Larry Hama's file card that Lowlight didn't have a happy childhood. Folks, if you haven't watched the G.I. Joe cartoon from the 80s, I recommend it.
It's a bit of a blind spot for me.
And then you too can make a reference in a podcast and sound smart.
I keep on trying to, because, you know, I'm a bit of a completist. If I can, you know, do something all in, I keep on starting with the same episode, you know, those mass device episodes right all the way at the beginning, and then, you know, fizzle out. And so I've seen episode 1 of the mass device many times. the rest.
I have 2 suggestions. 1, start at episode 16.
Oh,
skip the first. I mean, they're great, but if you're going to get bogged down in a miniseries, skip the first 3 miniseries. And my second suggestion is watch one each morning, Monday through Friday, while you eat breakfast.
Mm-hmm. Sugary cereal. Yum, 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 yum.
It doesn't have to be that. It can be eggs and oatmeal. It can be delicious, healthy breakfast. I just think you should it should be part of me time, right? It's not you getting the kids out of the door and, okay. Anyway, so, here's something fun. On this, I've lost track of our pages. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. On page 11.
11, yeah.
I really appreciate on pages 10 and 11, the 3 Joes have their weapons drawn. Destro and Mercer have weapons. Chameleon does not draw her weapon, right? There's really cool body language going on here where she is not worried about this in the same way, either because she thinks that Destro and Mercer can take out the 3 Joes, or she doesn't think this is actually going to involve these 6 characters shooting at each other. And it's a subtle thing. But, you know, anytime you have a bunch of characters standing around, you know, make sure they're all standing in different ways. Someone's got their weight on their left foot. Someone's got their arms crossed. Someone's got their hands in their pockets. Someone's holding a pistol. Someone's like reaching for a pistol. Someone's sitting up on an abandoned car with their legs crossed, looking kind of casual. Mark is trying to get a close up of his comic book up to his phone
and failing. Yeah.
And it's just you know, if there is no variety in your character's body language, you're missing an opportunity to give information to your reader in a fun and subtle way. And also it's boring.
Yeah. And Destro very much wanting to de-escalate, but then there is a growl, which sets off Mercer, starts blasting away, blam, 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 get it. And there's a little moment there which sort of slightly confused me as to what's happening. But you've got the Joe sort of backing away, and Destro is moving towards Mercer, I think, just to calm him down.
Yeah, to pull his gun down.
Pull his gun down, and Chameleon is hopping down from off of the top of that car that she was sat atop.
And then at the bottom of page 12.
Oh, this was the panel that confused me slightly.
Destro shoves Mercer.
Yeah.
And I think either he's shoving Mercer out of the way so he can take the bullet because he's got a metal head and bullets will bounce off it, or he's shoving Mercer in another attempt to get Mercer to stop firing, although he's now Mercer hasn't been firing for 3 panels. So I think this is a scripting and a storytelling thing where maybe Joshua Williamson asked for 6 things on this page and Milana had space to draw 5 of them. Maybe we needed this bottom panel to be cut into 2 panels and we can get a close up so we sort of know more of what specifically Destro's trying to have happen with Mercer. I'm a little unclear on it. It did not ruin my day, but also the car that Chameleon is on disappears, and I guess in panel 2 on page 12, yes, in panel 2 on page 12, it's directly behind Risk, so we can't see it, and Chameleon is up on something. But then on the bottom panel of page 12, I sort of can't believe that the car is like now a little bit to the left and completely behind Stalker. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we lost the car, and that combined with Destro shoving Mercer and it being very small and far away. Maybe Destro's shoving Mercer so that Risk kind of runs into Mercer. Risk has to deal with Mercer and not catch up to Destro. Not sure. I like it. I like that Destro shoves Mercer. I don't quite know why.
Right. So then we get a moment with Chameleon jumping at Stalker. You dare fire at my love, and some Chameleon Baroness sort of moments, and Destro shouting out Astoria. So sort of genuine concern there, perhaps, or
remind me,
or is it slightly annoyance that she's getting involved, or is it Astoria? No, or is it Astoria? Stop.
I think it's the second one. Just remind me, does she have 2 names?
Astoria Colton Ritz.
Okay. It's that she has 2 hair colors. Wait, sorry. What I'm really, this is not a joke. What I'm really asking is, when she's Chameleon and she has her blonde hair, are we not supposed to know she's Astoria Carlton Ritz, who has brown hair and is a rich society person? Is Destro committing
throwdown thing?
I was just going to say, is Destro committing a real American hero sin here by having characters call each other by their first names and not their code names? Now, I think Destro, because he loves her or he's enjoying their physical relationship and doesn't love her, would just call her by her first name in the moment. But, Destro runs a big company, and get a comment from the crusty old crow. Destro outed her. Yes, if later on he's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, then that's an interesting character bit. But I do think, I feel like all the X-Men comics I read as a kid, the X-Men were pretty good about calling each other by their first names inside the mansion and during Danger Room missions, and then better about calling each other by their code names anywhere else. And I haven't been paying this much attention to this little facet, but I feel like in my later years of reading X-Men comics, they just always call each other by their first names. And what's the point of having code names besides copyright renewal? Anyway, I do like that Astoria attacks Stalker, Baroness attacks Chameleon. But for a moment, I thought, because Baroness kicks back, and for a moment I thought, oh no, is this going to be this thing where in like 80s brands or like 90s action movies, if you have like a team of guys and one woman, and then on the bad guys, you have a team of guys and one woman, like the 2 women have to face off, because you couldn't possibly have a male hero like punch or shoot a murderous terrorist female baddie. It happens at the end of G.I. Joe the movie, right? Where like Slaughter, Falcon, and Jinx are going up against Globulus, Nemesis Enforcer, and Pythona. And the 2 guys go up against the 2 guys, and the lady fights the lady. And it's happening here for 2 panels. And this could also be 3-on-3, however you roll the dice. Eventually, the lady's going to fight the other lady. But for a moment, I thought, oh no, Joshua Williamson, don't fall into that trope. And I don't think he did, but almost.
Almost. So what have we got coming up next? It's a grab for Stalker. He gets sort of green tentacly things grabbing him, and so does Chameleon. She's sort of scooped up into the air. Baroness has sort of underground green tentacles grabbing her, and Destro has got his leg being grabbed by tentacles and dragged off as well, before we then cut scene to Risk and the gigantic Mercer fighting off against each other. So Mercer is, big, bulky. Risk is meant to be a super badass kind of MMA, mixed martial artist, cage fighter kind of background. So they're having a full-on fight. it's a compliment there as well. Mercer says, nice moves, risks, but it takes a lot more than fancy kicks and punches to leave a dent in me. And as they've got this standoff, we have a page turn again, and I love this. It's this moment of these giant green octopus tentacle things, spectral octopus. That'd be a good name for a band. Grabbing Mercer, and it's sort of like, real kind of horror film moment of that sort of pause of him in the doorway, holding on with his fingers on either side of the door frame before sort of scooped off into the darkness.
You know what I thought at the bottom of this page here? The one that, can you move your comic up a little bit? So there's two panels of Mercer being grabbed and dragged in, and then there's a third panel. The background's all orange with some yellow sound effects, and it's brighter than Risk in the foreground, firing, looking really panicked. Bang, 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 bang. That's 4. Bang, bang, 5, 6. Bang, bang, bang. 7, 8, 9. Risk gets off 9 shots, and I thought, did one of those hit Mercer? I know that Mercer's a bad guy, and I know that, in theory, the Joes want to kill all the bad guys or arrest them. And I know that in story, Mercer's been pulled so far in and down and back around a corner or behind a door or something that none of those bullets did hit him. But there are so many bullets fired. I thought, geez, Risk, I know you're trying to shoot the spectral octopi, but you might hit the unarmed guy who's being kidnapped by a ghost, which would be exciting, but not the way that I want Mercer's story to end in a G.I. Joe comic, right? So we just jump ahead to next issue. How'd it go, Joes? Well, Destro and Chameleon got away. Mercer's dead. It happened off panel.
Yeah. Yeah, and you kind of said it, but let's not forget the Mercer is a bad guy who's done some very. I'm trying to think of a clever way of saying this. Bad things.
Did he kill all the people at Dr. Burkhart's house?
Yeah, I guess
Duke number 1 or
that
Duke number 2?
That was Major Blood, I believe. Actually, was behind that one. Okay. But he was in that squad that killed Rock and Roll. And he did go to that hospital and kill that artist Mars team guy who had previously encountered Starscream. Do you remember?
Yeah.
He was sort of investigating that, and then took him out with extreme prejudice. So not a good guy. He's got a long way to go for his redemptive arc still, but to what extent will we see it in these next 3 issues? I'm not sure. There's a big focus that's going to be on Risk and Mercer between issues 22, 23, and 24. So you can do an awful lot in 3 issues.
I keep forgetting that, in theory, Mercer will become a good guy because he looks different from his 80s, counterpart. He's so big and he's got a different costume. And in my mind now, there's so much more story of new Energon Universe bad guy Mercer, who's very big, than there is of, 1987 animated movie and whatever playing my brother and I did with my Mercer action figure. The Crusty Old Crow says the Valkyries are more ruthless than Mercer. Yes, I guess they have killed more people. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we get this page of Risk heading in because now he's alone. Everyone else got grabbed and pulled underground or into a doorway or around the corner. We didn't see everyone literally get pulled. We only saw one person get pulled, but that's this efficient, visual storytelling where you show everyone else getting grabbed and not yet yanked. You show one guy get yanked, and we can assume they all got yanked. Risk goes into this doorway, and then the panel, not a copy and paste, but a very similar angle, which maybe it is a copy and paste. Doesn't matter. No,
I think there's some subtle differences there. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, we go from seeing Risk come in through this doorway to we're now looking at a TV monitor or a computer screen where the blacks are now dark, dark, dark green, and there are some horizontal scan lines, and then a word balloon pointing off panel. And I thought, I bet it's Crystal Ball, the guy from the cover of the comic. And I turned the page, and I was right.
Yeah, I mean, if we didn't see Crystal Ball in this issue after him being so prominent on the front page, on the front cover, it would have been a little bit odd.
Here's the thing: in a different world, if there were no variant covers, which I would love, Tom Riley might be so busy drawing his issues of G.I. Joe that Andrea Milana would do covers for his issues of G.I. Joe. So in this world, cover D, which doesn't show Crystal Ball, cover E, Milana's cover, which just shows Stalker and a boogeyman. I'm not saying that this needed to be a big reveal. I'm okay with the very exciting Tom Riley cover and knowing that Crystal Ball would be in the story. But there is a version in a different timeline where you turn the page and you're like, what? Crystal Ball? Whoa.
I've got an I Spy on this page, actually. I just noticed.
I spy with my little eye.
Is it the thing over his shoulder?
It is. It's just to the left, just above his shoulder, there's a sort of gold circular object. That is Crystal Ball's Hypno Shield, Tim.
How do you know?
Because it's got a kind of a skull sort of shape in the middle and sort of snaky type things coming out of it.
Sorry. Okay. Yes. I'm familiar with the 1987 Crystal Ball, which only has a geometric pattern on it. And you're referring to the classified Crystal Ball, who looks like 90% of the 1980s Crystal Ball and 10% Lobo. Which I say as a compliment. I think that's a fun, if you're gonna give him a dash to something. Yes, so you're referring to the image on his. So I have not held this accessory for classified Crystal Ball. Is it a lenticular image? Does it change if you wiggle it, or is it just
I don't think it works quite like that. Maybe someone in the chat who's got it can sort of explain, but I think it's a bit of a more basic effect on the shield, and then it's got this green kind of, the glowing green kind of Diatech, which fits over the top of the shield. So I'm not sure if it's got. I don't think it's got anything quite as fancy as the original kind of hologram holo shield with the 3 3/4 inch, but then it might have some sort of.
Can you zoom in over that loose hand? Can you go back? There it is.
Immediately.
Hey, everyone. I actually didn't realize this. Crystal Ball comes with a crystal ball.
He does. So that crystal ball that we saw on...
he didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the crystal ball that we see featured on the front cover, and then again on this particular page when he's revealed with the sort of skull and the tentacles around it, I think is very much that same accessory. So the crystal ball that we see here in the Energon universe is very much a recreation of the classified toy, and we've seen that a few times now, where the look of the toy, the new toys have been almost directly incorporated into the comic. We've had the Valkyries, we've had Road Pig, we've had Raptor, we've had now Crystal Ball. There may be others that I'm forgetting about as well, but there's been a lot of reinvention from Tom Riley redesigning things, but some characters feel like they're sort of almost taken whole cloth from the look of the toy, and I think part of that, and Joshua Williamson has said this himself, that just seeing some of the toys as they're kind of revealed and being a fan of those new classified toys, he's like, ooh, that's really cool. I want to be able to include that in the book. So,
what's that twisty thing around classified Crystal Ball action figures pistol? He's got a revolver. Is that a tiny snake? Is that the time worm? Is that Galobulus's time worm? Did it hop off of Galobulus's time worm dagger at the end of G.I. Joe the movie? The Crusty Old Crow says, the Energon designs are using a lot of existing G.I. Joe classified designs. It's like a toy commercial. Yes, the lenticular shield has moving snakes and that attachable part. Thank you for that confirmation, Crusty Old Crow. The gun has a worm on it from an older reference as well. Can you be more... Oh, it is the time worm. I was joking. Unless you meant Eldritch worm. The crystal ball part comes apart and has a tentacled skull inside. Wow.
Yeah, it looks very much like a kind of a time worm thing looped around the end bit
barrel of the
barrel of the gun. Yeah.
Thank you for all that information, the Crusty Old Crow. Okay, so On this third to last page of G.I. Joe 22, Crystal Ball twice says dire tech. And I hope in the next issue, he or someone tells the reader what that acronym means, because I didn't know, and I can go look it up while I'm reading a comic. I don't really want to, but I also want someone to explain it in a way that feels natural in the scene, not to go sell some toys, but because that's a cool term and I'm missing some information. And I hope Joshua Williamson and editor Ben Abernathy don't overlook that acronym, which I only learned, I think, last month from you, Mark.
Yeah, and I wonder, there's probably a degree to which they kind of assume, they might be assuming to some degree that the fans of the comics are also fans of the toys and are kind of, somewhat invested in what's going on in the classified line. Yeah,
but surely it's not a complete overlap.
No.
All these people who are like, I was into Transformers, and now I like your G.I. Joe comic, and unwritten unsaid in their letter to the letters page, and I've never bought a G.I. Joe toy.
Yeah, no, interesting.
Here's a question.
Go on.
On the page, on the third to last page that we're looking at right now, where we see Crystal Ball sitting in his chair, and then reverse angle from above of him sitting in his chair in front of a giant computer console with 8 screens. All those screens are blank. Do you take this as it's a moment later and he's pushed a button and the screens are off? Or is this a art or color mistake where we should see something on those screens, like maybe 8 different views of the 6 people that just got grabbed, or all of them should have risk in this room, in this hallway? This is not a big problem. I'm not upset, but it does feel like either a decision that doesn't quite work or something's missing.
Yeah, I suspect probably the form of the decision that maybe doesn't quite work for you, because the previous page transition is that we're going from an image on a computer screen. The color palette turns to green, like it's on a bit of an old computer screen or whatever, and we're flashing to Crystal Ball sort of seeing that image, and then that picture of his big monitor display. I'm getting the flow that this is him seeing risk on his display, and that display is on front of him. But yeah, now that you call it out, the fact that they're all blank does feel a little bit like an omission, that maybe what it needs is literally one monitor showing that display of risk, another one with Destro, another one with Chameleon, whatever else, that kind of thing. But it's a lot to show on a relatively small panel. So he talks about his dire tech, and he's monologuing to himself. There's no one else in the room as far as we can tell.
Yeah, I think he's talking to us.
So how good's your Victor Price voice, Tim? Do you want to have a crack at this one?
I mean, good enough, I guess. Where do you want me to start?
Well, isn't this a treat?
Well, isn't this a treat? I haven't had test subjects in quite some time. I developed the dire tech to interrogate inmates, to get them to reveal their secrets. But I was told I went too far. They didn't understand. My dire tech, powered by Energon, doesn't just create illusions. It peers into your heart. It studies your soul. It reads your mind to find your fears.
Very good. And then we've got the final page there, Mercer in a dark corridor. Well, it's not the final page, almost the final page, the penultimate page. It's Mercer in a very atmospheric, dark, empty corridor. Risk in an atmospheric, dark, empty corridor. He's seeing some sort of glow. What the hell is this? How? This isn't right. I remember. And then he sees these spectral visions of those police colleagues of his that were mowed down in his earlier dream or nightmare.
Thank you for that fact check. I think I called them army guys. It was a police mission in the flashback.
Yeah.
You led us to our death, and now we're taking you to yours.
Let the games begin. Wahaha.
That was amazing.
Great.
That was an amazing Vincent Price.
Mm.
Are you doing Stitch?
Let the games begin.
Yeah, good issue.
Yeah, I really love that one.
This was an issue where I don't want to say little is at this sounds damning by faint praise. It's not what I mean. So I'll say it badly and then I'll figure out a better way to say it. Less was at stake because I don't have strong feelings for Crystal Ball, and he's not a character who's done a lot. So if he is reinvented, particularly if it's so tied into Classified, he can just be this new thing, like same with the Valkyries. It's like there's no past for the Valkyries in the Devil's Due or the Marvel continuity. So if Joshua Williamson has this new tier of Cobra Soldier, do this other thing, flirt with Cobra Commander, get the alien powered sword for him. Great. And since we've already had some horror moments in the Energon universe, this didn't feel unwelcome. We had it in the Cobra Commander miniseries, and we had it in the DREADNOK War with was it Texas with Road Pig and the house. And the cover really sets it up, and for that matter, IDW Crystal Ball was a bit of a horror character. It's nice that there's no Duke here. I like Duke, but the Energon Universe comics move so fast. There isn't always a ton of characterization. It comes in little bursts now and then, like when Risk is having a nightmare on a helicopter and the Baroness says something. And I really like the dynamic of 3 Joes and 3 Cobras, and it's 3 Joes that didn't do a lot in the last arc, and it's 3 Cobras that haven't done a lot recently. So yeah.
And we're sort of in this overall arc, we're getting the Joes dividing up into little mini sub teams going on their own adventures in this hunt for Energon arc, and sort of echoing the sort of the Sunbow way of doing things, of having these sort of sub teams grouped together by an overall kind of arching kind of mission. So you've got Duke, Clutch, Hound together doing their thing. Let's see who went to it was Covergirl and Snowjob, and was it someone else going to rescue Scarlet in issue 21, and then we've got the remaining Joes. These 3 guys off to Bad Higgistan on this particular bit of a hunt for Energon. So it's it's a good way of getting a bit of a spotlight on a smaller team and sort of expanding that bit. We had a good question here from Krusty Old Crow about how we feel about Energon being the origin behind so many Cobra rogues now. That Cobra Commander is motivated by Energon. We've got Zartan, whose power is very much linked to Energon. Now Crystal Ball is having Energon powering his dire tech. Destro for his, motivating as a power source for his weaponry. All of these kind of things. I personally, I like it. I like that it's a unifying thing, tying this together, giving it, a sort of acting as the bonding agent for the story. So, I'm kind of digging that they are having Energon sort of play this vital part of what they are calling the Energon Universe.
Yes, I agree, and I have almost nothing to add. It is in the name, and it's also a way to set up. If there's less Energon in the G.I. Joe corner of the Energon universe, then I think when they meet up with Autobots and Decepticons and later aliens from Void Rivals, that'd be a much harsher adjustment. But they've already got this MacGuffin power source. They've been talking about it from nearly the beginning, and also these Cobra factions are using it in different ways. So it you know, if you kept doing this, if the series expanded to a second monthly and a bunch of one shots, I think it could overstay its welcome. It could become too much of a gimmick, like Energon for this character and this other character has Energon. As of right now, it feels like a lot because we haven't had a lot of issues and we haven't met a ton of characters compared to all the other G.I. Joe continuities. But, you know, Storm Shadow has a sword. Cobra Commander has a laser hand. Cobra Commander and Destro have some soldiers in tanks, in some back to tanks. Zartan uses it to change. Crystal Ball uses it to scare people. So it is both sort of highly flexible and also quite different time to time. And so I'm okay with it and I like it. And we're not near them overdoing it. And, you know, I mean, to sort of say it's right there in the name, Energon Universe, in a slightly different way.
And they've started leaning into it in the Void Rivals Quintesson War as well. They're sort of treating it as a bit of a power up MacGuffin. They're like you might sort of get Energon in a video game to give you a little bit of an Energon boost to help with your fighting prowess. This final scene actually with Crystal Ball, where he's monologuing to himself. He does. We assume that he's monologuing to himself.
Is he talking to some like eldritch monster or an alien? Is he actually talking to someone from the Sacred Ring? Wait,
there's a Cthulhu monster sort of dangling from the ceiling just out of reach that he's talking to. Or he could be on one of those monitors. He could be talking to Cobra Commander. He does describe his technology as being powered by Energon, so he does know the word Energon, which possibly gives a hint that maybe he's intertwined with Cobra Commander, and Cobra Commander did send Destro on this mission, having been set up himself previously. So I think there is a question mark here as to whether Crystal Ball might already have a connection with Cobra Commander and be working for him.
He's just on the phone with Globulus.
Cool.
Globulus doing a Burgess Meredith voice, and Vincent Price doing a. I'm getting this joke mixed up. Anyway, let's move on. It's
right.
It's two old movie actors with great voices talking to each other. Move on.
We did have some great letters, or interesting letters, with a little bit of insight there. They talked about spotlight issues. They said spotlight issues might be fun, something to consider down the line. I think Joshua Williamson says is 100% on my wish list, a kind of G.I. Joe Mission Files anthology. I'd love it if we did an Energon Universe monthly anthology. So sometimes when they sort of, talk about these things in the letters page, it can be a little bit of a hint as to what is to come, floating an idea. So I wouldn't be too surprised if maybe somewhere down the line it might be something that we see a bit of, an anthology or a spotlight issue.
I have a suggestion. In the 90s, there were 4 monthly Superman titles, one for every week, because there are 4 weeks in a month, and they were numbered with triangles, so you knew what the continuity was on the cover. It's like, after Adventures of Superman 502, I have to read Action, 671 or whatever. But they were missing 4 Wednesdays because there are, of course, 52 weeks in a year, not 48. And so for a couple years, they ran a 5th regular Superman comic that was just quarterly, and it had its own writer and artist team. But rather than doing a monthly Superman comic, they were doing an issue every 3 months. And it was so that every single week, not even those 4 skip weeks, there would be a Superman comic to continue this ongoing continuity. So my suggestion, you're smiling, but I'm serious. I mean, I want more comics, but I'm so aware of them overdoing it and how IDW overdid it. My suggestion is to do an Energon Universe quarterly anthology, and it ships on those 4 Wednesdays where there's a 5th week of the month, and you have additional stories about characters from all 3 of the titles. And in the same way that the Energon Universe special that has now come out 3 years in a row is good and important, you make this good and important.
My smile was thinking ahead to it being quarterly. Maybe we could have Tom Riley drawing that, give him a little bit of extra lead time that he only has to do one every quarter. Greg has got a comment in there, which is a person, a triangle, and a exclamation. It's super. Oh yeah, maybe he's saying Superman Triangle Month mention is cool. Is
that Superman, or is that a Lego minifig with red glasses and blonde hair?
My interpretation.
Greg, please clarify.
My sort of my emoji sense is tingling, and it says that he's saying Superman. Us mentioning Superman Triangle Month is cool. Greg, were we correct? Right. I think we've got a request of a Vincent Price for you here in the comments from Cobra Elite 77.
Darkness falls across the land. The midnight hour is close at hand. Dire tech creatures crawl in search of blood to terrorize the G.I. Joes. And whoever so listens to this podcast will forever be damned to listen to more episodes, but stand and download all of the episodes because Mark spends so much time editing them.
Very good. Cool. The other thing, I was right about the triangle. The next one in the comments was in the letter page was mention of Cobra Commander's cloth mask. Will we ever see Cobra Commander's cloth mask look? And they replied, even though I like his helmet look better, it would be cool to see that. The question was, even though I like the helmet look better, it would be cool to see that again sometimes. And they reply, I don't know. It's not in my current plans. I prefer the helmet. And there is another look that I want to bring in soon. Another look, Tim.
I am going to just take a wild guess. And Hasbro has said you cannot use the cloth mask. And so Joshua Williamson is diplomatically saying, I just had no plans to use the cloth mask.
It's all right. I never wanted to anyway.
That's my wild guess. And we've already talked about Cobra Commander version 3 earlier in the episode. Maybe Joshua Williamson wants to bring in the bonkers, is it 1990 Cobra Commander with the red translucent plastic?
He did that already in Cobra Commander issue number 1.
Right. Good memory.
So I'm thinking, what would the other one be? You've got your battle
Star Brigade.
suit.
Star Brigade Cobra Commander. Good grief. I mean, to avoid rivals or aliens, and Transformers are aliens, and the Joe's going to go to space. Wow.
Right. Wow. And we'll see the origin story of Robo Joe. Maybe that's rock and roll. He's reanimated into a giant.
If the plan was to do every character eventually as a classified figure at the 6-inch scale, I'm calling it here. If 1994 Star Brigade Cobra Commander shows up in classified, then that is the third look. That is the next look for the Energon Universe. Crusty Old Crow says Battle Armor Cobra Commander is a popular design. I guess I overlooked that. That would make sense.
And then finally, they talk about Serpentor, and Joshua Williamson says, I have an idea for Serpentor that will be different and unexpected, but we have a lot of plans for Cobra Commander that will happen first. To be honest, Cobra Commander is my favourite character in G.I. Joe, and I was super annoyed when Serpentor was introduced, but I do have an idea on how to introduce him. So, that was it for this issue, I think. So we can probably start wrapping up, Tim. Yeah. Maybe you can tell us where you can be found when you're not talking to me about G.I. Joe comics.
YouTube, Atomic Abe, Hub Comics, that's a physical store. My blog, arealamericanbook.com. And sometimes listening to Thriller on compact disc in my car.
Very good. And you can find us at talkingjoe.co.uk. That is the website that we can be found at. Make sure that as well that you've liked and subscribed here. If you're watching later on, leave a comment when you are done. And make sure that you're following us. Head on over to Facebook to join in with the Facebook group and the discussions. That's where all of the latest news is posted. So the August solicits are just out. I've posted, some of the previews of those are just out. So I've posted those into the Facebook group because that's where I share the news. And we've also got a complete set of those fashion variants of the upcoming G.I. Joe comics, which are a little bit nuts, but I'm here for it. And also, of course, a big thank you to all of our Patreon members. Patreon.com/TalkingJoe is where you can find us there. And a big thanks to Richard, Sam, Christopher, Shane, Simon, Chris, Joe, Craig, D, Shane V2. This one has got weird green tentacles grabbing him. Infinite Entertainment, Gary V, Coldroff B, Squishy, Matt, Edgy B, and latest member Jonathan. They are getting early access and ad-free access to episodes, as well as some exclusive content. There'll be something that I am editing probably today, tomorrow, that will be going up early for Patreon members, which will be a little bit of a treat.
Mark singing Thriller. It's Mark. Okay, it's Mark doing. Mark's rewritten all the lyrics to Thriller, but it's about G.I. Joe, and it's set to a karaoke version of Thriller. And I see Mark is nodding in agreement. I guessed right.
I do have on Patreon the latest song parody jingle, which will be used on a future episode when it becomes relevant. Read into that what you will. Next time on Talking Joe, we will be talking G.I. Joe issue. Not next time, but in a month's time, we'll be talking G.I. Joe issue number 23, which will be out on June the 17th. And that episode poses the question: who is Risk? Let's flick into it. Be right
I was going to hold up the page that shows the next issue's cover, but it's not in this issue.
Oh.
There's just an ad for the next issues of Transformers, Void Rivals, and Mask, and Mama Mask.
Mama Mask. It's got another one of those previews.
Yeah,
that's unusual, isn't it? It's, you normally do get a bit more on the next issue. Yes, the next issue poses the question.
This issue of G.I. Joe, on the ad that shows the covers for Transformers and Mask, does confirm that Mask is out a week later than originally thought. Both Transformers number 33 and Mask number 1 are June 10th. All the more reason to have a quarterly Energon Universe book to fill in those gaps. Sorry, you were saying?
I was saying issue 23 poses the question: who is Risk? The secret origin of G.I. Joe's most unpredictable member is revealed. And what will happen when Destro and Baroness meet again? It's a bit of a leading question, isn't it? We will find out in a month's time, I guess. But before we go, Tim, for this time, is there anything that you would like to remind the listeners?
Nobody Beats Talking Joe, an international podcast.
Laters.